And recruitment. A lot of times people will ask, well, how do you recruit? Or I will often hear in work with families as partners, well, I can't get families to participate in an FAC or in quality improvement. They're just not interested. I respectfully disagree. I promise, there is always a family that is out there that wants to make the experience better for the next family. It's on us to make sure that we are extending the offer to engage them in that care. So I challenge all of you, talk to your bedside staff, those frontline folks who are there day in and day out with families. They can be your point people, and they can give you a list of people that, hey, I think this particular family might be really awesome for your quality improvement or for your mentorship or for your family support work. Please tap into your bedside staff for recruitment ideas. Going to events and things like that. Make sure you set up a table about your unit FAC at the family. Goodness, well, it feels like a family, right? At your NICU reunions, at your fundraisers, at any of your events that you have for your hospital. Make sure that there is a NICU FAC table set up so that families can say, hey, this is a great way that I could give back to the unit. And also make sure that you're promoting the work of your FAC within your unit, so that when those FAC members come back, they can see and experience the impact of that work, as well as current families who can say, oh, wow, my hospital team is getting family feedback. This is awesome. They're doing work with families, not for families. And this may be a way that I can give back in the future. This is also key, I have to say. Please make sure and please work really hard to ensure that the membership of your FAC is reflective of your unit. I will be very transparent and say we have yet to crack that nut. It's a hard nut to crack. We do have a patient population where we have a lot of families who are single parent families who may not have, additional support at homes to take care of children, to come to meetings that are present. So it's up to us to continue to recruit families using that online technology, as I said. But again, I know that we particularly need to be better as far as representing and putting that lens of equity on and making sure that, our FAC is not just a bunch of middle-class white women who are able to participate in volunteering. We need to really reach out to our other family members who have incredible insights in the work that we do and that are very much needed to have those voices. And I think that is all that I have.
Improve the lives of other NICU families. But how are we getting these folks involved? So that's sort of the meat of this, right? So we use a lot of different channels to connect with our families, everything from emails and phone calls. We have an alumni group online in Facebook we have a discharge nurse, a dedicated discharge nurse who calls families and specifically says like, hey, do you want to stay in touch? And then we're given those emails and we're able to communicate with our families and figure out which level of involvement they'd like to be. I'm in a paid family position. I know I've seen some questions in the chat about that, and I'd be happy to talk about that a bit more, but I'm a paid part-time hospital employed program manager within my hospital. So that's another way that I engage because I'm able to be present at the bedside and build relationships with these families. So we cast a really wide net because we know a lot of families will express interest, right? But things like a pandemic happen. And also we know as NICU providers that sometimes the NICU baby isn't the most critical thing happening in a family's life, right? There are so many different things that happen to our families at any given time. So we really want to figure out ways that we can engage our families, but not add to their burden. One of the things that I think is most effective, and when I went to give a similar talk at the Gravens conference earlier this year, if you don't have a stay in touch document or someone reaching out to your graduate families to check in and to see if they want to stay in touch, that's like a really low lift thing that you can do to help you understand what their interests are and also to what degree they want to be involved. If you're keeping something like that active and updated, and if you can find a way to just get in touch with your families and ask them if they want to stay in touch with you, that's a good starting point. We know that our families want to be really a part of things. They want to be involved in our QI work. Coming off of the heels of Vaughn, it's amazing to see what families can add to our quality improvement and to our advising. So, you're giving them a really great way to help future families and give back after their experience. But it's all about relationships, right? Because if we're inviting families to come back and to share in a vulnerable way, we really need to build trust and establish connections and relationships. So this starts at the bedside during their NICU stay, and it lasts for many, many years, or in some cases, a lifetime. Some of the members of our NICU Family Advisory Committee have children of have grandchildren who have children of their own. They've been sitting on our advisory committee since its inception more than 20 years ago. This is such a critical part of their lives, and it was such a touchstone for them that they want to be involved. They want to hear the way that, especially, some of our families who've been on our board for quite some time, the NICU has changed wildly. I know even for myself, my NICU stay was almost 10 years ago, and the way that that we provide care has dramatically changed. So it's really beautiful to see that, right? And to see how things are moving forward and how your feedback is being used. But in order to get that feedback, right, it's really important to have trust, and families need to feel safe in sharing the good and the bad about their NICU experiences. It's not easy to tell the people who have taken care of your infant that, everything is beautiful, but there were some things that could have been better. So when we're talking about, and then on the other side of it is when we're talking or disclosing clinical information to NICU families, sometimes it's really hard to hear about your child as a data point, right? Or when we talk about some of the more difficult topics, we need to make sure we're always using content warnings as they're appropriate. We always need to make sure that we're giving families a heads up if we're going to talk about something that may bring up some feelings and emotions for them. So we need to really think about the careful language that we're using in our NICU settings when we're bringing parents into this type of work. It's really important to talk to NICU staff and the nurses especially about what projects you've got going on, so they can see if they can think of any families that might be a good fit. And a lot of our families are still in touch with their day-to-day nurses, right? They are updating them, and now that they're home. So that's a great starting point. And then we also need to be really flexible. A lot of our working families may not be able to meet regularly at 12 noon. Zoom has been an incredible option for engaging families in sort of getting them involved in day to day, and sort of making sure that their once a month commitment isn't too much. Something that we're trying to do in our hospital, but we haven't much success, but I know that it works at other units, is some night meetings. Not everybody's able to meet during the day, but could you do, even if it's 1 or 2 night meetings a year or night Zoom meetings, is that something that can happen? Also, are there opportunities for you to involve families over email or in a working group online? So just be flexible in the type of asks and be upfront about the ask. So what does the time commitment look like? What staff are going to be involved? Do you want to be forthcoming about that? And also, will they have a chance to connect with other NICU families, and do they want to do that? Compensate if you can. I know this is hard, right? Not a lot of our units even have a paid parent advisor role, but we need to be paying people for the time that they're giving us. And if you're writing a budget for a grant, or you're putting a grant proposal together, add some time for parent participation for their time and for their expertise. We're not currently compensating our NICU Family Advisory Committee, but we do offer them free parking and meals when they come in person for things. And for NICU projects like our co-creation of our family integrated care program, we had 2 co-leads who were NICU graduate families, and we offered them a stipend. Even if it's just some hospital swag, you really want to show your appreciation for the expertise and for the time commitment, because a lot of these things can be very time intensive. We know that it's really important to bring in all aspects of NICU families. So if you have families who are limited English proficiency or who do not speak English or are limited, using interpreters, having staff involved who speak those languages is really important to engaging those families. And then transportation. I'm not, some of you may have closer units, but we're a main level 3 unit, and some of our families live hours away, different states. So providing transportation, parking, childcare, if possible, is really helpful. And we know, as Mary Beth said, and I want to echo the importance, like we need to be recruiting in ways that represent and reflect our patient population. So we need to be prioritizing welcoming people from all different backgrounds. So race and ethnicity, but not only that, sexual orientation, family structures, gender, financial situations, physical and mental abilities, right? The experience of disabled parents is very different in a NICU. So are we doing what we can to listen to their experience, and also education level? Diversity in family structures. So are you engaging LGBTQIA headed families? Are you engaging single parents? And then cultural diversity. So again, families who are not speaking the dominant language in your unit, reaching out to them and finding ways to connect with them. We have some incredible family advisors in our Vaughn network who speak different languages. So it's always great to sort of tap an expert and see how they can help you engage. So of course, one of the things we are